So what candidates have to do, Missouri is another one, what candidates have to do is to figure out how they can take what they need out of those battleground states. And as we get closer and closer, advertising will increase in some of these and decline in others as each of the camps decide, I've got this much money left, where can I best deploy my resources? Obama had just about decided to abandon Florida. And in the last 2 weeks, Florida is, quote, in play. Things have happened in the last 2 weeks to the McCain campaign such that states which were not thought to be competitive are now pretty competitive. And so the Obama campaign has decided it will spend more money in Colorado, it will spend more money in Virginia, a state that has been red for many, many years, or cycles. It's going to spend some more money in Nevada, even though it was thought McCain had that one. And it's gone back into Florida, where, interestingly enough, in the last couple of polls we've seen Florida actually get a bump up on behalf of Obama. I'm going to come back to that in a couple of minutes. One of the things that we're seeing in this election that we haven't seen as much in the past is a little bit more emphasis on issues. I say that because it's hard not for these guys to discuss the economy right now, the bailout package or lack thereof, the issue of the price of gasoline at the pump and energy issues. Healthcare is getting talked about, not as much as I thought it would be. It's just that these other issues have come in. And the war, which was sort of a headliner a year ago, is not quite there the way it was. The Wall Street meltdown has just been terrific news for Democrats. If you just want to look at the politics of this thing, what could be better than to have the economic system, our economic system, absolutely fall apart? Because the economic side always redounds to the benefit of Democrats. What could be better than having gas at $4 a gallon if you're a Democrat? Because even though you want to pay the short term, you may get a winner out of this thing. So it's kind of an irony that I started to say the worse are the times, the more that helps out Democrats. So Democrats are going, oh, isn't this awful? Isn't this awful? If issues don't dominate, then candidate image does. And here we've had a very interesting contrast. First, between the principals, McCain and Obama. Two very, very different guys, not just in color, but in temperament, in experience, in any way you want to look at it. This is not Tweedledum and Tweedledee. These are two very different people, and they project different messages, even though at times it seems like they say the same thing. Then go down to the VP level, and here you have sort of an amazing thing going on in American politics. I gave a speech like this last week. Actually, I gave this speech last week, and people, I could just see people saying, "What is she going to say about Palin?" That's really what they came to hear. And gosh, what do you all think of Palin? I mean, how do we do this? I see some thumbs down. Got any thumbs up? Come on, somebody get up there. Is this a bunch of is this a Pico crowd?
She's running out of thumbs.
She's running out of thumbs. She was asked last night, what does she read to keep up? Did you see that?
She couldn't name the newspapers.
Everything.
She
reads everything.
Anything they threw at her.
Anything they put in front of me, she said. Well, could you? All of them, right? Yeah, I read them all. Well, could you be a Katie Carter? I'm curious. What would you? Oh, I read them all. that, she's saying, well, if I say time, well, they think I'm too liberal. If I say the National Review, well, they think I'm just playing to the base. I mean, I think that she's so loaded up with advice and the consultants have so put her in a straitjacket that the poor woman is afraid to say anything. And so she just looks dumb when asked a question, what do you read to keep up? Yeah.
Radio commenter was making the point, it seems odd from a strategic point of view for the McCain campaign to cocoon her away from all the little interviews and then just throw her into these 3-hour interrogations where she can't help but flounder.
Right.
What are they thinking? I mean,
I think it's a good question. Anybody watch Morning Joe in the morning? MSNBC, it's a 3-hour junkie show. And what Joe Scarborough was saying this morning, put her on Limbaugh, put her on as many of these conservative stations, radio talk shows as you can. They're not going to beat her up. They're going to throw her softballs, and that'll get her kind of into some kind of a rhythm. But what they've done is to give her very specific answers to questions that they know she'll be asked, and she does not deviate from those answers. So follow-ups just don't work. I don't know if anybody saw Wolf Blitzer last Sunday morning. He played a Tina Fey cut from Saturday Night Live where she says, in answer to the question of the bailout, well, the bailout is important because, it has to do with health care reform, which, as you know, makes it all about jobs. Well, and then he played her answer to that question from Katie Couric, and it was just as close to a direct quote as you can, side by side. I mean, it looked fairly ridiculous. I don't think we've seen enough of Sarah Palin to know her, to see her, but I'm not sure if they were both in the room, I could tell the difference. Tina Fey seems to have nailed her. And so if the race is about image, going into this thing right after the Republican convention, Palin came across as a very appealing woman. 2 other women. She's a mom. Some of the focus group results were saying, I like her because she's a mom. She's kind of like me. I'm not sure if we want to elect. I want to elect someone kind of like me. But there was a poll done in Ohio, and it said the question was, which of the 4 candidates, Pres and Vice Pres, is most like you? 41% said Palin. 22 said Obama. 21 said McCain. 13 said Biden. Now, I have a theory about this. We like to elect people who are just like us. But once they take office, we really don't want them to be just like us. Some of you may remember Jimmy Carter in 1976, and throughout the campaign and into the beginning of his presidency, he was carrying his own garment bag on and off airplanes and around. He didn't want people to be carrying his stuff for him, and that was a really appealing image. But once he became president, people didn't want to see that anymore. They wanted to see, sort of the ceremonial trappings that go with the presidency. The president doesn't carry his own luggage. When Ronald Reagan came into office after Jimmy Carter, and he brought back some of the grandeur of the White House in the East Room with the white tie dinners and that kind of thing, people really liked that. There's a great story about John Kennedy right after he became president, and he was in the White House, and there was a private dinner with some couples friends of theirs, and as they were getting on the White House elevator, he stepped back to let the women go through, and he was immediately told by the protocol officer that presidents go first, and he was quoted as saying, "This is all kind of new to me, that you don't do the things that some of the things you used to do as just a citizen